This is the Vernier dual range force sensor. It is so named because there's a 0 to 10 Newton range to the left and a 0 to 50 Newton range to the right. In our activity, we will leave it on the 10 Newton range at all times. Coming out of the sensor is a wire, and on the end of the wire is a plug. That plug will go into any analog channel on the Vernier interface. In this case, I'm using the LabQuest 2. On the bottom of the force sensor is a metal plate. If you would like to measure pushes, you will screw the rubber bumper into the plate. When the bumper gets pushed, changes the resistance inside, and the software changes that reading into a number of newtons of force. If you would like to measure a pull, we will exchange the bumper with a hook. After you have the hook at the angle you would like, tighten the little black nut down so the hook does not turn. On the other end is a thumb screw. It goes into this hole, so if you ever want to mount this on some sort of device, such as a ring stand, or in our case, we're going to mount it on this pole that comes out of the cart, you would slide the sensor over the pole and then tighten the thumb screw down firmly, and you're all set. Rex has created an activity called Unit 4 Lab 1 Interactions version 3, and in your Unit 4 folder, in the resources folder, and there's another folder titled N3, and that's where you will find this lab. This part of the video is to show you how to set up the hardware, and then the last part will explain how to use the software. You're going to use two force sensors, and both of them will be connected to your interface. So one to channel 1 and one to channel 2. In station 1 of the activity, it tells you that you are going to have two objects pushing on each other. The objects are going to be people, and the force sensors are going to measure how hard the people are pushing. The activity says to put rubber stoppers on your force sensors. So what I've done is I've taken a couple of number 2 stoppers, 2-hole stoppers, cut a slit on the narrow end, and then cut it deep enough that I could slide the stopper over the hook. They're going to push on each other like so. Now, not knowing if you would have access to the stoppers, we've come up with some other plans. If you take the hooks off and replace them with the rubber bumpers, then they can push against each other. If you don't have the rubber bumpers, then all that's left that we can do is to have nothing on the bottom, and the two plates will push against each other. So that's station 1. For station 2 of the lab, 2 people are going to pull against each other, and you're going to put a hook on each force sensor and put rubber bands. I put 2 smaller rubber bands between the 2 hooks, and then the sensors will measure the pulls. A track, and in the interaction lab we're asking you to do stations 3 through 6. You don't have the equipment to do. So what are called stations 7 and 8 are going to be 2 colliding carts. You were given this steel band in the equipment that was mailed to you this summer. We would like you to make it into a loop, put the hook through the loop, and fasten so you have something like this. Then you're going to put it on top of a cart. The vernier carts have a little rectangular opening on one end, and they have posts that go in that opening and then tighten down. The sensor with the band will be mounted like so. The other one, you're just going to put a rubber bumper on the end and mount it in a similar fashion. And you'll place them on a track, and now they're ready to collide. Okay. Anticipating that some of you may not have these posts, I've tried to come up with an alternative way of attaching the sensor to the cart. And if you go to the hardware store and get a 2 or 2.5 inch 832 bolt and a nut for it, that slides nicely into the slot. Loosen the thumb screw so the bolt can be centered in the hole. You need a 3/4 or 1 inch fender washer. And snug it down. You're ready to go. Okay. In station 7 you have 2 equal mass collisions, and in station 8 the difference is you're going to have one cart with more mass than the other. One way of doing that is to add 500 grams to one of the carts, and in that case you're about doubling the mass.